Well, I think from a Lupe fan perspective, right? Because in the Lupe fan community, I'll say this, for the Lupe fan community, I've probably been the most consistent journalist writing about Lupe Fiasco for the longest time that's still doing it. You know what I'm saying? So I get a lot of feedback from Lupe fans all the time. My DMs be hit up with people I've been going to Lupe shows with in multiple cities for years, and people keep asking me, why does it look like Lupe is putting himself in positions to make people look at him as if he's a hater, as if he's elevating these people who are critical of him? And I never really have an answer other than, I understand the value of protecting your name, but I'm looking at Billboard magazine today or yesterday, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, is this a headline that actually makes sense for what it is that Lupe actually feels?
BK, you were going to chime in? I'm going to address something with Billboard directly, but BK, you going to chime in?
I was just going to say, just speaking to, I think the medium, especially on YouTube and Twitter, in this period of late stage capitalism, niggas is broke and need money at the baseline.
Niggas be broke.
And super facts.
And the medium rewards rage bait. And if it rewards rage bait by boosting your SEO in the algorithm, that means more eyeballs, that means more money. And so, of course, it's just a breeding ground for hitting at the root of humans and human emotions. Like Lupe just said, I'm a human being. And so when I see my face on a thumbnail, I'm going to click it, right? It's like it hijacks you, no matter how much you know and how aware you are and how cognitive you are of the meta, it's still going to maybe hit that nerve. And so I would invite everyone to use the block button more and the mute button more. That's been my saving grace, because I love to jump down people's throat, especially, oh my God, Drake stands in period. But the Drake fans that have circled back to one of my videos that's in that bitch, I'm responding to every single one of them. So I'm no better than the nigga that puts on the fucking thumbnail or whatever the fuck. But I think it is curious to, wrap it back to Justin's point, why this same kind of story of Lupe and Dot, or Lupe and the word resentment or whatever keeps getting brought up. There's a bait element. There's a I think still getting to the root of that real human emotion of I'm just not gonna sit here unless you fucking say shit that's disparaging to me or untrue or whatever. So I don't know. I think that it's symbiotic. The people want the rage bait. You participate in it because you can't help it to a certain extent, because that's just a part of the human condition. It's really fucked. And then the larger part of it is just niggas is broke and rage bait pays the bills. That just kind of is where the medium is right now.
So I know Elle's gonna chime in on one of them points because she has some facts to add to that, but I'll give you a couple anecdotes and respond wholly. One is it's intentional, because coming from the streets, I live by the mantra, keep your enemies close. So I want to know what you're doing. So I follow my stalker back so I know where she is, right? I follow the people that have the vitriol and the whole thing. Not follow them click follow, but I keep tabs on them, because you keep your enemies close, right? Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. So I know I got my fans and I'm gonna pay attention to y'all, but we got some real shit going on over here. And I forgot who I talked about this, maybe offline. I talked to somebody about this yesterday, when we were on the phone, right? Fans get their artists killed. Fans get their artists killed. Now, this goes back to your point, Justin. But let's take Billboard, for example. And we'll talk about Billboard and fan responsibility, then I'll land the plane, right? I had a Reebok deal back in whenever, 2010, right after maybe 2009, wherever it was. I had a whole Reebok campaign. It was me, Mike Jones, Lil Wayne, Daddy Yankee, 50 Cent. It was all these rappers had these shoes. And so I did some press. I had billboards across the city, across the country, blah, 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 right? So everybody knows I'm on Reebok. Billboard magazine puts me on their cover. On the cover of that magazine, they have me on a skateboard and some streetwear and some Nikes, right? Reebok sends me a cease and desist. And basically just from that billboard cover, because they chose a photo while I was wearing Nikes, Reebok basically terminated my deal. So I was going back and forth with Reebok, talking to Billboard. It was a innocent mistake but it's a matter of how they operate too. Billboard doesn't do photo shoots for their cover. They pull from the press photos that the label takes. The label sent Billboard here's all these photos, y'all can choose whatever y'all want. They chose a photo of me wearing Nikes. It destroyed my Reebok career. The deal was done. It was cooked. Reebok was like, that's fucked up. Is this? And I explained to them. I was like, I'm talking to Billboard, like, hey, can you talk to Reebok and let them know that this is how y'all operate. This is what y'all do. They weren't trying to hit none of that shit. So I was cooked. Right? I didn't do anything. I got cooked. That's another kind of like, you may think that I'm being like saucy, or I want the photo shoot with the dope blazers and I want the new Nikes and our shoes are kind of whack. You may think that, but that wasn't the case. I emptied my closet, had a number of Reeboks, and this photo shoot that I did prior to me signing to Reebok came back up and it cost me my Reebok deal, right? Fan responsibility. And we gonna keep it real gangster and real greasy with my fans. And y'all know I love my fans, but love is to correct, protect, and respect with correct. When the fans wanted to do the petition, they did that petition. I had nothing to do with that petition. When they sent that petition to the label looked at me like I had something to do with it. I was like, I'm not antagonistic. That's just the fans. We looked at it like, okay, cool. Then when they turned around and they did the protest, it was like, I have nothing to do with that protest, but now I'm faced with this thing. I have to choose. And I either have to choose my fans or the label, because I can't do nothing. And I chose the fans, right? And NYPD kicked me out of the building at Atlantic. I wasn't allowed to go back in the building. And when I tell you that it destroyed little pieces and parts of my relationship with the label, it was cooked. On top of them trying to force me to do a 360 and everything else, they feel embarrassed about what just happened, cooked. 2014, when I couldn't get a release date for Tattoo on Youth, the homies Anonymous, shout out to my homies, they're my homies. When the word kind of got out that Lupe they were playing with people's release dates, Anonymous stopped fighting North Korea and the Ku Klux Klan and sent a letter to Atlantic and said, hey, if you don't release Lupe Fiasco's album, we're gonna dox the entire label. I had nothing to do with that. The label blamed me because they said I did it. They said I called Anonymous and told them to do the thing. And I know Anonymous through Occupy Wall Street. They were a big part of that. They doxed me once. And the guy who did it, the heads of Anonymous, they doxed him. They kind of kicked him out of the spot because he felt a certain way about something I did at one of the protests. Regardless of that, when they did when Anonymous did the threaten to hack and they was like, we gave him a release date and dropped me from the album, dropped me from the label, one of the terms of getting off Atlantic was they reset the clock on all my masters. So normally you get your masters at 10 years. This is real talk. I ain't never heard this. I was saving this for the memoirs. But I give it to you because y'all my family and the fans so they can know the real hard decisions that I had to make behind the scenes. Because I was prepared to sit on Atlantic, right? When they told me that they weren't gonna push any of my records ever, or any of the records on Tattoo on Youth that I was trying to remake another superstar, do this, I pulled all them records off. You got Mural because it was like, y'all not gonna push this shit anyway, so I'm gonna make an 8-minute record about bars. Regardless of that, one of the terms of them letting me go because they felt it was hostile and I threatened the label is they reset the clock on all my masters. So when I was supposed to be getting Food and Liquor Right Now, because this 10-year thing ended. I don't know when I'm gonna see Food and Liquor. I don't know when I'm gonna get the Cool back. I don't know when I'm gonna get these lasers back. I don't know when I'm gonna get those masters because of that. Something I had nothing to do with, but it's from the fans, right? So that relationship between fan and artist, for some people who don't know, it can get very, very tricky, right? Where fans are like, well, we're not gonna support you unless you do this. We're not gonna do this unless you do that. Or we love you so much, like Lupe, we love you so much, we want to do, and they overprotect. And they wind up fucking up very kind of fragile negotiations and circumstances where the label felt threatened. And they were like, and I told the label, I said, look, don't do anything. I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't respond, right? Call their bluff, right? But when you do that, law enforcement gets involved, all type of shit. And I always support the people, but I also learned from that experience to be very hands off, be very, like create some partitions and stuff like that. But yeah, those fan things, which are great moments and revolutionary, and they added to my mystique in the folklore. On a business side, I was getting destroyed in that label. And even to this day, Julie Greenwald, who's one of the most powerful women in music, to this day, still believes that I had Anonymous set up to get that album released and threatened to hack the label.
Do you regret choosing the fans in that moment?
If I knew what I was going to go, I wanted to quit. I was going to leave music. After the Cool, and we were going through all that stuff with the 360, and they told me they weren't going to release none of my records or promo my records, I was done. I was just going to float on through. And so you see that. You see like the protests come up, and it's like, and it's kind of like, damn, okay, cool, let's go. I didn't necessarily want Lasers to get released, to be honest. That's why I told people I love when people say I hated that album, this is why. Right? The shit I had to go through to put that album together and make that album work, and all of the things, like it's all type of internal thing where I was trying to actively go to Def Jam and brought in a whole nother lawyer and a whole nother team. It was messy. It was very, very messy at that time. And it was kind of like, man, this is bad. But again, just going back to like fan responsibility and that, and we ain't gonna talk about drill music and fast forward to situations that ain't got nothing to do with me. We ain't gonna fast forward to all of the, Vibe Magazine, talking about fans, right? Vibe Magazine, when I did that Tribe Called Quest thing, which was the first thing that ever got me destroyed before I could even fly, they clipped my wings. I did an interview with Vibe Magazine. 3 months later, I got invited to do the VH1 thing by Q-Tip, by Busta Rhymes. And I went and did it. I fucked up the words, right? I was rehearsing. I got in that moment, I don't know, and I fucked up those few words, and I stumbled, kept it going, right? Everybody cool. They looking like, man, it's all good, I'm in the back embarrassed like a motherfucker. That same night, Vibe Magazine puts out a quote from the interview that I did 3 months ago that says, I never listened to Tribe Called Quest anyway. When that hit, the publicist at Atlantic, his name was Sidney Markinson, we got the editor-in-chief of Vibe Magazine on the phone. And he was like, why would y'all do that? Because niggas was finna die. Niggas was turned up on some street shit. Niggas was turned up on some, and everywhere you went, if it wasn't that to that degree, Q-Tip called me screaming. He was mad than a motherfucker. So niggas was mad. It's niggas I don't fuck with to this day because of that. Who are some of y'all heroes? I hate them niggas. We got the editor-in-chief on the phone. Now this is the publicist of Atlantic. His name's Sidney Markinson. He'll vouch for this. Maybe he will, maybe he won't, because maybe I'm dragging people in, but I'm trying to give y'all the truth, the facts, so you know how I move and why I move. We went to his office at Atlantic. We called the editor-in-chief. Her name was Danielle or something like that. She was Elliot Wilson's wife. Sidney was like, yo, why would you do that? Why'd y'all do that? Y'all know he did that interview like mad long ago, and it was in the context of him saying like, people always talking about Kick Push sounds like Tribe Called Quest. And even though it does, what I actually grew up on was 8 Ball and MJG and Scarface. And my sister used to play Tribe Called Quest, so I'm aware of it. And I'm a huge fan of Q-Tip. I was on the same label with Q-Tip at Arista when he was Kamala Abstract. So I love him. I listen to his albums. I base my albums off his albums, right? But that was a little bit past my generation, and we was in the streets. So she was like, y'all know that was the context for why he said that. Why would y'all clip that and put that out in the world like he's responding to what happened at VH1? She says, and I quote, "What, you want to take it to the streets?"
Tomato.
And I like, Sydney, hang up the phone. I got so many stories of that. I got a story on Twitter when Twitter first started. When it first started, I got on it, I deleted it. Atlantic put me back on it. My man Busy, he was like, trust me, this is gonna be the next big thing. I was like, what the fuck is it? He's like, it's like your text messaging, but it's public. I'm like, all right, that sounds crazy. Got on it, right? It's the Wild Wild West. You don't know who's who, who's what. I wake up one day, I'm getting destroyed. I'm in New York. I'm getting destroyed in the press, absolutely cooked from everywhere. All kinds of people, all these Beyonce fans. I'm getting destroyed. Who the fuck do you think you are? You ain't shit. You such and such. You just trying to ride off the hype. You da 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 da. I'm like, damn, I know Beyonce and I know Jay-Z. I was just at their house. What are we doing? Some guy created a tweet that says he put my name in it, so it looked like it was me, a photo of me, and then wrote, "Oh, Beyonce ain't the only one that got an album coming out," and then posted that as if it was me. And I got cooked. I got cooked by legends, like destroyed. I was like, that wasn't me. Like, I'm trying to explain it. Ain't nobody trying to hit that because it's gone. Now we talking about the Bayhive. Fuck Koala-T. Fuck dot stands. Ain't nothing like the Bayhive. Nothing like the Beehive, bruh. Trust me. Fast forward to 2 years ago. And the video's on YouTube, and I'll send it to you if you can't find it, if you can search for it. The guy who did that tweet did a whole video apologizing to me and explaining it. That he was just chasing some clout, but he didn't know it was gonna fuck me over like that. And he's like, Lupe, I'm sorry. You know, for y'all that don't know, this happened a long time ago. I was young, I was stupid, and I did this whole thing. But that's 10 years, 20 years too late, my guy. So I got stories of fans and actual fans with no quotation marks who put me in the blender, bruh. Right? And at a certain point, I just stopped giving a fuck, because it's like, if I say something, I get fucked over. If I don't say nothing, if it ain't even me, I get fucked over. So what's the difference? Now, I don't know. I know, like we talked about the academic question, academia, how rappers talk. I've yet to meet a rapper who doesn't think like me when it comes to putting down these bars, but I've yet to meet an artist of any caliber that has went through the shit I went through in the music business, period. And I know fucking damn near everybody. And I'm not saying minimizing people's situations of what they had, because I know people been through some terrible shit, worse than the shit I'm talking about. But that level of just kind of every album cycle intensity, he didn't even say it, but fuck him, bruh, it's bad. I'm landing the plane.